Okay. All right. So, hello, everyone. Like she mentioned, I am Kitrin, and then we have Tracy. We are so happy to be in this space with you this afternoon. Just our Justice for All poster that we must show. So, to get us started this afternoon, you can either put this in the chat, and we have Trace and others that will kind of share some of the things. But what is your food business idea or your current business, and one thing that you need funding for? Please put that in the chat, or you can come off of mute, either or. See if you see anything pop in, please share.
Kit, we have one, Miss Gibson, that said Food Hub and funding to be the source for pantries.
For food pantries, okay? And if it's a secret, this supposed to be a safe space, so no one steals anyone else's ideas.
Okay, we have Soup Bistro and retail soup sales need funding for payroll so I can hire help.
Mm.
Growing Meals, nonprofit centralized lunch service for daycare centers in Buncombe County, need funding for getting started, kitchen lease, food purchase, equipment, etc. Next, we are a nonprofit food hub looking for funding for everything. I understand that. And I'm just working on ideas. I need to access a verified kitchen, not my house.
Okay, yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. So, Tracy and I are actually going to share some grant opportunities, and I did hear a few of you talking about being a nonprofit. So, looking at also sharing some things with you outside of this particular setting that we're in today as well that can help you as far as getting started with your nonprofit. So our overview for today is for you to understand some funding options, utilize a business plan for your grant application, where to find grants for food businesses. Is your business grant ready? That's always the first thing that you have to think about is your business grant ready? Finding the right grant opportunities to suit your needs, basic parts of a grant proposal, and then tips for increasing chances for obtaining your particular funding needs.
So to start off, we want to just go over some different types of funding that's available and how they differ and how they're kind of the same. First, we have microloans. These are small loans, usually under 50,000, and they're offered by nonprofit organizations or community lenders. And then we have the old-fashioned self-funded. In the work that I've done with entrepreneurship in the past years, you'll be surprised that this is one of the the top ways that people actually begin their small business through using their, we call that bootstrapping. They use their own money, they use their savings, they use their personal assets and income to fund their business. And a lot of businesses start that way. Also, you have crowdfunding, which has become very popular in the last decade or so, which is raising small amounts of money from many people, usually online platforms like Kickstarter or the probably most popular GoFundMe. You have business competitions, contests where entrepreneurs pitch ideas for a chance to win funding or prizes or mentorship, different things like that, as well as community programs, incubators. These are programs that support businesses with funding, mentorship, training, and workspace as well. And the last and final funding option that we're going to focus on today is, of course, grants. And this just shows you a little bit about how they go forward. This just shows you a little bit how that those different funding types, how they are differ, how they are the same. For example, microloans are pretty much best for startups. Um, Self-funding is for entrepreneurs who, some people actually do have that savings and want that full control. So that's something that they might want to think of. With the crowdfunding, your product is based on a creative idea, something that's going to get people's attention. And if you're thinking about getting funds from business competitions, you really have to have innovative ideas. And for those competitions, it is time. You have to put the time in order to create those presentations that's really going to catch the funder's eyes, as well as if you're looking into grants. We're going to tell you more about that today, and just realize that you're going to have to really stick to some criteria and some rules and regulations for that. What is a grant? Well, in the beginning, as we pretty much know, a grant is money awarded to support business project or program. A grant is a financial award given to individual businesses or organization that does not have to be paid back. Unlike loans, grants are essentially free money, but it's providing you meet specific criteria and follow the rules for funding. It's non-repayment, does not have to be paid back, highly competitive. So it's going to be many different organizations and individuals going for that same pot of money. You must follow specific rules. There's strict terms for funds that you receive with grants, as well as the compliance that's required. Recipients must track expenses and submit progress reports to prove the money was used correctly. There's a lot of work that goes into grant obtainment and grant management. Just to give you an idea, some of the main sources of grants include federal government. Sites like grants.com is a great resource for you to go and see what's available as far as grants for agriculture, technology, education, food safety, and health. You then have your state and local governments offer grants, and they often focus on regional economic development, job creation, or minority or women owned businesses for growth, as well as private foundations. Organizations like Ford Foundation fund specific social causes, arts, and scientific research. And then you got grant funds that come from corporations like FedEx, Amazon, Visa, that run small business grant contests annually. Now, a business plan is essential to organize your ideas and thoughts around your business. It's a great tool also for grant proposal writing. But if you haven't prepared one yet, you should have at least an executive summary. The executive summary covers your business purpose and mission. It gives you a brief description of your business, your products, your services, your organization as a whole. And it also can help you decide which grant opportunities meet your business mission and goals. Kitchen and I always like to say, don't chase the money, chase the outcomes, meaning any grant or RFP you apply for should help you advance your mission and goal of your organization. It shouldn't be something where you have to actually change what your beliefs are or change what the mission or goals of your organization is. It should be one and the same. Your grant, the executive summary can also be used to acquire funds when a business plan is not required by lenders. And it's also a document that can be used to actually help you to draft different parts of a grant, including your organizational introduction and other pieces of your grant proposal.
Okay, where can we find these grants? I have a quick question. You can place this in the chat. How many of you actually have a business plan already? Who has a business plan? Anyone? Okay. Megan, I see Megan hand is up. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, if you have not created your business plan, that is definitely something that we suggest that you go into, and the different resources we're going to discuss today to help you get started with that, because it's just a huge and a great tool to help you when you begin your process of writing grants and searching for grants as well.
And so here are a few, and I will tell you the resources that will be shared with you after this session has a little over 30, maybe 45 different opportunities, but you have to do your due diligence. Some of them may have It was accumulated by different individuals that have shared with me. So make sure you do your due diligence. Here are a few food businesses. We have the National Small Business Grant, which is also the National Association of Self-Employed. They offer a grant. You may receive a grant from Venmo. Venmo, they have a small business grant. And then you had Senator, which is a cultivate small business opportunity that you can apply for their Food Pacific grant. And then, of course, we have our USDA Agriculture and Food System grants that has a USDA local food promotion program. And those individual grants are offered throughout the year. You just have to make sure that you check and see when they are open. Now, let's talk about being ready. So, the core elements of grant readiness, I discussed that earlier, is to make sure that you have your legal structure in place. Are you registered as a LLC, as a corporation, depending upon how you would like to register your business? Do you already have your EIN number? Do you have a professional website? There are some free opportunities for you to participate in as far as website design. Your financial health. Do you have up-to-date financial statements? It is very important. Do you have a balance sheet? Do you have a profit and loss statement? And clear detailed budget for your project? Again, this is all in being grant ready. Your project focus. Do you have an actionable projects that align with the funder's goals? Is there alignment there? Are you creating jobs? Are you doing some type of community impact rather than general operating expenses? When folks are giving money, they want to know that you are really making a difference in the community and the individuals that you are serving. Do you have the capacity? I remember Tracy sharing in the chat that someone said that she, need to hire some individuals. So the capacity, do you have the evidence that your team can actually manage the funds that are given to you? How are you able to track your outcomes in the executive project, such as past performance metrics and or solid management team, ensuring that you are grant ready? So let's actually look at some of the what grants reviewers actually look for. So they want to ensure that you have a clear business goals. So an example is catering company that specializes in healthy school meals. What's your community impact? Are you creating jobs? Are you supporting local farmers? Are you providing food access? And I did hear a few individuals stating that they are looking at food pantries. What is your feasibility plan? Do you have a budget? What does your timeline look like? How long are you actually trying to ensure that you're able to meet that particular funder's timeline? And again, Tracy just talked about making sure that you have a business plan, because if you already have your business plan planned out, then whenever you start seeking grants, it won't be as hard to actually be able to meet the metrics of that particular RFP. And do you have a sustainability plan? So you ask for this particular money. Is it a one and done? So after the grant dollars are gone, are you able to sustain your business? Can you continue to your profit now is at a point that you're able to sustain your business? Will this business survive after an actual grant? That's what grant funders are actually looking for as you ask for seeking those funds from them. So parts of the actual grant. So you heard me saying RFP, RFP. RFP is request for proposal. And quite often you may hear other um, grant language, but most often you're going to hear RFP. This is the funder's instructional guide at some point. Funders are looking to make sure that you're that you have the clarity that is needed. After you're looking at that RFP, you're reading that RFP 2 or 3 times before you actually start writing your grant. Want to know about your organization. Again, that can come from your business plan. Want to know what impact you're going to make in the community. Again, back to whenever I asked you, are you creating jobs? That's that economic development piece that they're looking for. And is it feasible? Do you have a feasibility plan in place as you seek for that funding? Okay. So, basic parts of a grant application. So as you're thinking, and some of you that have not quite gotten everything together, here are some things for you to think about. So your business description, what will you do? What are you going to sell? Are you offering products? Are you offering services? Who will you serve? Do you have an actual target market that you are actually looking to serve? Is it mostly seniors? Is it youth? You decide. The need for the funding. So, what are you asking for my grant dollars for? Is it for commercial kitchen equipment? Is it for food truck upgrades? Is it for packaging equipment? Your product plan. What will you do with that money? You're going to hear me constantly talk about what are you going to do with that money? Again, whatever you're going to do with the grant funders' money has to fall in line with the RFP, the request for proposal. What does your budget look like? The resources that we're going to share with you give you a sample of all of these things that we're talking about currently. What's your impact? You're going to increase production. You're going to create 2 part-time jobs. You're going to expand farmers market sales. What are you going to do? So make sure that you continue to think about how will you meet the needs of the grant funder that you're asking for. Now, I'm going to share with you a few tips for increasing your chances for obtaining that funding. Relationship building. Everything is about relationship building. It's about you taking the time, doing your due diligence, calling those individuals that are actually offering the grants and just building that relationship. Kind of share with them what your ideas are. Does it fall in line with what they are willing to support? Relationships are everything. Attend networking events. Whenever you actually have an opportunity to visit some of the websites that we're sharing with you, many of them sometimes have networking events that you are able to participate in, and or webinars that you can attend to see if whether or not this grant actually fits, and or ask questions of the grant funder. Meet funders before applying. I mentioned that, and follow organization online. One idea that I often share during my grant writing classes is for you to have a grant email. Whenever you start visiting those sites that we gave you, you do not want your grant email to be a part of your personal email, because I will tell you, you will get more stuff, more emails than you care to receive. And what you don't want to happen is miss out on an opportunity because you didn't see it. So I would encourage you to build you a grant email. And when you visit those sites and they ask you if you would like to sign up for their newsletter, then have that available for you, and you will be able to keep up with all of your things. Okay, start small. I would not encourage you to go after a huge USDA loan, I'm say grant to start out with. Start small. Start with some of the local ones like um, hmm, lost my train of thought. Venmo, Walmart. Some of these have grants available for profit as well as nonprofit organizations. When it's small, grants actually builds your credibility. So start small. Make sure that you're being very specific. Not saying I want to help the community. That's too vague, too vague. We will provide healthy prepared meals to 150 seniors monthly. So that gives a little more credibility to what you're actually asking for. You will have to do your due diligence looking for data because many of them ask for data. And numbers help to strengthen your proposal, including your community statistics of the area or the county that you're trying to serve, customer demand. Have you done an assessment to see what people want? That feasibility study. Food insecurity data. How many folks are food insecure in the area that you're looking to serve? And then we talk about telling stories. You know, telling stories actually pull on folks' heartstrings. So that is that emotional connection for you whenever you are working and looking for grants. And do know that people fund impact and capacity. We all want to do great work out in the community, but if you don't have the capacity, you will run yourself ragged to do what you can do if you only ask for help or volunteers. Because most of the time, if people seeing you're doing great work out in the community, they do not mind helping. So a few additional tips is to proofread your application. Make sure that at least three other people that you trust is looking at your application. Because a lot of times we think we have everything, and sometimes someone else can spot that there's something missing. Submit early. Do not wait to the 19th hour when it's due at 11:59 and you are trying to submit at 11:45. Do not wait to the last minute because we know technology is great when it works and it doesn't always. Tracy and I usually have she tells me often about Eastern North Carolina and the internet. So I will say make sure that you submit everything early. Follow formatting directions. One thing I encourage you to do is to have a highlighter whenever you're reading that RFP that the grantor is providing. Make sure that you're highlighting things to ensure that you are being very specific in what you're writing. Keep copies of everything. Do not rely on, I know some people say, well, I saved it on a computer. Print a copy. Print a copy. Always have a hard copy on hand. And reuse proposal language strategically. Because if you can get your core solid, then you can reuse that information. But make sure again that you read that RFP. Do not think it's all are not the same. People ask for different things. You may say, well, they told me to, have my business plan ready and they're not asking for a business plan. All of them, some of them will be a little more tedious than others. Some of them will be so simple that you're asking yourself, this is strange. Because you're offering to provide an opportunity for change in the community, some of them will be that simple. Any questions thus far that we can clarify?
And one
Or
great
you,
thing as well, Kit, I want to add
Mhm.
in about that goes back to relationship. Once you have that relationship and you do those smaller grants and you get situated, the organization already knows your mission and goals. So when they're coming up with new funding, they may even contact you to let you know, hey, in about 6 months, 3 months, there's going to be a new RFP coming down the line. So it's really important to build those networking relationships.
And you may be asking the question, Tracy and I just finished up a grant writing class and I introduced AI. I will say this, yes, you can tell AI to do any and everything for you. But if you have not built a relationship and given it enough information to know you as an organization, I will not encourage you to do that. You have to take the time. You have to take the time to write things out and do a business plan and not allow it to be only AI driven. AI is supposed to be used as a tool, not the mastermind behind what trying to figure out what you're thinking and what your desired goals is for your community that you're serving or the business that you would like to start. No questions? Yeah.
Okay, going forward, once again, Kit is going to share some great resources that we have put together to help you do some more research, to search and look ahead. And another thing I want to add in about the grant writing itself, the RFPs, and Kit did speak about this. Once you do those first few, you really have the information, the different parts. You have your organizational introduction. That's not going to change. Your organization is your organization. So it's going to get easier as you write grants, the more you write. And then they are very competitive. So you may not get what you want, but just we want to just suggest you just keep on writing until you get something because they are available and they're out there. So these are just a few resources to think about, both state and local. The Small Business Center Network is one of the main resources that we refer people to all the time. It's the state's largest state supported small business assisted initiative. It's located in 58 North Carolina community colleges. They offer generally counseling, training, and resources, referrals for entrepreneurs looking to get started or grow their business. And many of their programs that they offer or assistance they offer are free or low cost because they're there for the community. They're there to help build up those entrepreneurs and to create that job creation that Kit was talking about. We also have the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina. And this is a private nonprofit corporation operated under a contract with the North Carolina Department of Commerce. But through their business link, North Carolina, they offer counseling as well as to help entrepreneurs start up, navigate those complexities of those things like Kit was talking about, those state taxes, that licensing, the permitting, the permits. They really are good at when it comes to the nuts and bolts of business and getting started and what you need to be successful. And another one is NC IDEA. NC IDEA is a private foundation that provides grants as well as mentorship support programs for high growth startup and organizations. And their goal is to really strengthen the state's economy by helping founders build businesses that are going to create jobs. That's what it really is all about in our state and our funders. They're trying to create economic growth in our areas, create jobs. And that's if you're starting a small business, that's what you're here to do. Also, you're going to have local resources that you can search and find in your area, like food incubator programs, as well as I heard someone say, looking for a kitchen. There are shared commercial kitchen programs. There are not a lot in North Carolina. They're kind of stretched out, but there are some commercial kitchen space as well as we always like to suggest the farmers markets. They are great resources for networking and getting information about what's in your area or even selling your product itself. In a program that Kitchen and I are part of, we've had some people that have started selling their products and they didn't want to go get they really didn't want to do it through their house. They didn't want to get brick and mortar. So they chose farmers markets and have been very successful. Also, you have SCORE, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping small businesses get off the ground and to grow. They offer resources. They even offer templates. We're talking about your business plan. They have templates available to help you draft that up. You don't have to create anything out of the air. There are so many resources here in North Carolina to help small businesses get started. And they also like to help people just really, they connect people together through networks as well as helping them plan out their business. So these are just a few of the state and local resources. And again, we're going to give you a list of a lot more resources available.
Let me see if this one, can you see the Food Entrepreneur Grant Toolkit?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so this is one of the resources that you will get with additional funding opportunities inside of it. It continues to talk about what funders look for as you write. I'm just going to go through this. Telling your story. I talked about telling your story. You're going to talk, this is a template for you to use. My food business is just to start crafting your story. Who is your target beneficiaries, whether it's low income, underserved, youth, students, seniors, small farms, you decide. Again, it goes into more detail as far as, are you grant ready? Are you ready to be able to accept a grant? Do you have that board of directors ready to in place to ensure that you are successful as you write your particular grant? Your financial documents, your business planning. You see business plan come up again, helping you to ensure that you're writing smart objectives, specific, measurable, achievable, reliant, relevant, and time bound. And then it gives you a actual example of the grant, your SMART goal, a sample budget. This particular one was for $60,000, and it kind of gives you a outline of some of the things that could go in your budget. Explains why funders matter. Flexible grant expenses. Now, again, we're sharing these expenses, but you have to read your RFP to see if they actually will support these particular expenses. Top funding resources talks about government, corporate, foundations, why community impact matters, a sample impact statement, a one pitch funding, just in case you are in the right place at the right time. Know, have your pitch ready.
We always like to tell people have that elevator speech ready to go. You never know. Bill Gates might, come in the elevator.
That's
You
right.
got three floors to convince.
3 floors. How do you build your brand? And Tracy mentioned SCORE, and a lot of these topics, SCORE actually will provide this service. Here are some avoid these errors. How will your business continue? So it gives you some language that you can pull on. And just to let you know that your business matter. You will also receive, and these are hot links for you to references and more resources for you to be able to click on and do your due diligence with looking at USDA, a lot of the SCORE, business mentoring, the NC Rural Center is also a possibility, and other links that you can click on for financial literacy and budget development resources that you can use. So I think we have equipped you with enough resources. And the last one that you are getting is actually hyperlinks to 30 food entrepreneurial grant opportunities that you can take the time to look through and look for. Okay. All right.
So another opportunity that we have actually coming up in July is NC Homemade Entrepreneur. It's a virtual program that's going to be available July 28th through the 30th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. daily. And for this program, this is for anyone who wants to start a home based food business and they want to know more about I'm sure you guys already have gotten information on the food law, but we go over some of that business and marketing planning that Kit discussed, as well as we go over finding funds for your business in more detail. Along with, we have some local resources and people who are available, the different resources like the Small Business Center that's going to talk about the services that they provide in their community. And it's really a great interactive program. We started this program back in 2020 after going to our conference here in the end of 2019 in the mountains of Asheville. We met a lady from Florida State that did a great presentation on their cottage food laws that they have in Florida. And North Carolina does not have cottage food laws, so it's a bit more difficult to use your home to do food. So we really go through the nuts and bolts of that. So if you want more information on that, and you can join us, you can hit on that link and contact Kitchen or myself for more information on NC Homemade Entrepreneur.
All right, we're
Now,
waiting for some questions.
we know it's a lot of information and we have a lot of resources for you to go and look through to help you to, get more clarity. But if you have any pressing questions, please don't mind to help to ask.
So real quickly, we do have one question in the chat, and just wondering if we can share the presentation with everyone at the conclusion.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. All
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, we
Thank
will
you.
provide that.
Hi, Kit
Yeah,
and Tracy. That was
wow.
excellent information. I've got just one question, and I know I always like to hear, you guys have so much knowledge about this grant writing and probably have seen many proposals in the past. I'm curious, what are some common mistakes that you see that, I know you guys are giving tips and tricks, but what are some of those just common mistakes you tend to see over and over?
A few that I have seen is not following, they are asking for things that the RFP said that it does not support,
Mm,
or it was for a for-profit business, but a nonprofit applied, or vice versa. So that's why, if nothing else, we continuously tell folks, RFP, read your proposal. That's some grammatical or spelling errors. And that's why I also stated, make sure you at least three people are looking at your proposal before you actually submit. Those are some of the few of the ones that I've seen um, looking at some of the
And,
grant
and
proposals.
for me, I would say I saw this in the past in another work situation I was in, was we had to read over some and either giving us information we did not ask for or
Mm-hmm.
leaving out information that we asked for. So, if they say they wanted a detailed budget, do that detailed budget. If they say they want, 3 months or like Kit said, a year of your sample of your income or whatever they ask for, like Kit said, read the RFP and give them what they asked for.
okay, great
That's
point, especially about the budget. I know when I write proposals, that can be the most tedious thing to,
it can.
develop. So taking the time
Yeah.
on that budget. Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you.
You're welcome. I show that simple one, but like Tracy just mentioned, if it asks for a detail, then really give those line items of what you're going to actually do with that money.
Great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So, kind of along those same lines, since we're having this discussion, especially about the budget, which I think, is ultimately the goal of submitting a grant proposal, can you speak to not only the changing economy that we're experiencing right now, but what about once you are awarded a grant? What if maybe the goals of how you spend that money you need to change? Can you speak to the level of difficulty of changing those budget allocations and maybe what goes into that if you see your business model shifting after you're granted a proposal?
So first and foremost, I started out talking about building relationships. When you build those relationships, if something shifts within your business, then you need to make sure that you contact that particular grantor, because it may be a situation where they will allow you to make those changes, or it may be a situation that unfortunately they will say, we can't make that shift. But I have not seen, just as an extension individual, I have not seen where they will not grant it. They may allow you to put it in one particular line item and maybe not in one that you would suggest. So yes, again, everything is about relationship building, making sure that you're making having contact with that grant provider to ensure that you are following the you're doing what you said you were going to do, because
And
nothing is worse than, yeah, not not providing and doing exactly what the RFP that you provided, that you received the money, the dollars, I'm sorry, the dollars that you received, and you decide, well, I can't do this, then you need to ensure that you have the capacity to make sure that you're able to meet your obligations.
And that's another thing that we go over quite a bit in our Grant Writing 101. Kit and I actually just finished a class in Harnett County. We're going to have an in-person class this fall in Nash County in Grant Writing 101. And the other thing about it is, okay, you have the grant. Yay, it's over. No, the hard work just begins. You know, we talk about you have to create a timeline. You have to be responsible for this. I mean, these people are giving you money. You have to be responsible. And like Kit said, make sure you have that capacity, have that timeline. You don't wait till month 11 to check to see did we work with 800 families or not. You have to say by the 3 months we need to be to work with 200 families because we said, so doing your due diligence, but not only getting the grant but managing the grant. And I've seen, going back to the question that was asked before, I've seen people who are awesome grant writers who can write and make Jesus believe they have turned water to wine. Like literally, they can just write a grant. But then when they get it, they're like, I got a grant. I need your help. I need everybody's help. I need some help because they don't have the capacity to do what they said they could do. So just really being ready, being having the capacity and being real with yourself in the beginning will help with that management piece.
Yes, Tracy, that is
Jason and
so
Will.
good. Such good advice. And Kate brought this up a second ago, but I actually just requested on another grant that I'm on a no cost extension, right? Can you speak to, what if you can't get everything done that you promised, say, in that proposal? Is there leeway? Is there flexibility? Can you just speak to no cost extensions and the need for them?
So, Lynette, I can be for full transparency. When you're talking about those no cost extensions, I have not been in that situation. However, at the same time, when I think about a few grants that I've been a part of, and that timeline played to exactly what Tracy just talked about. It was that relationship that allowed us to be able to navigate, from what we said we were going to do. So they allowed us, if we said we were going to seek 600 families, and we were not in a position that we could actually because your ultimate goal is not to send money back, but sometimes the reality, if you cannot meet it, then you, with that relationship and that talking with the funder, then they will allow you to say, okay, well, yeah,
Yeah.
you will have
Yeah.
to return some of these dollars and or make that change. With your
Provision.
no cost, how did that work out for you?
So I've been successful in getting those no cost extensions so far. Not knock
Uh,
on wood there. But it's such a good point, Kit. Sometimes you didn't need as much money as perhaps you
as you thought.
estimated, right?
Mm-hmm.
But of course, you always want to try to spend that money. But I think it's very important, as you both mentioned, to read that RFP, that request for proposal, because oftentimes it will be stated in that request for proposal of whether or not a no cost extension is available.
is
right?
available. Right.
So yeah, just
Yeah.
something to think about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another great thing that Kit mentioned also is a lot of these funders are now having these sessions, these either virtually or mainly virtually, but in person, where you can go and ask any questions about that grant before you even write one or type one word. So it's very important to make those sessions. A lot of funders have started that.
You won't see as many brick and mortar, um, but you may come across a few. Most of the
Hmm.
time it's for programming
Virtual.
or when you're looking at a food entrepreneur and all the options that Tracy mentioned earlier. I see Miss iPad.
Miss iPad. My name is Renita. I'm so sorry I had to
Hi.
join from my iPad,
It's
but
okay.
I joined this webinar, this series for myself. However, it's all about building bridges and connections and relationships. And Tracy, this question is actually for you. I'm working with someone in the Nash County area right now, mentoring them. But I called somebody while I was in this meeting. They are doing a 20-week program for entrepreneurs up there. And she wanted to know if I could share her contact information with you because she would love to speak with you.
Oh, definitely. If you want to put it in the chat, can you do that?
Okay, I'll do
That'd be
that.
great. I sure
Thank
will.
you.
I'll connect with her.
Okay,
Great. Thank you.
you're welcome.
And it looks like we have a question that was put into our Q&A chat. So is it okay to apply to multiple grants at the same time, even for the same program?
Kit, what do you want? I'm going to say yes, because it's very competitive. Now you might want to have maybe a few different programs in case you do get you might be that great grant writer I was talking about that can just make words just sing and you get the funding. So you might want to break up maybe three different programs and write three different grants. But as we talked before, a lot of the pieces in those three grants are going to be similar or the same. So you're not really going to have to be putting that much time into multiple grants. Kit, you want to expand?
Yes, it's a yes and um, it's a yes and where you do not want to get in the habit. So hypothetically, if you see three grants at 20,000 a piece and you write for all three and you receive all three. So that's $60,000 that you have there to do what you said you could do with $20,000. Now, are you able to meet? Now, you don't have to accept the grant. It could be
Mm-mm.
just that simple that you do not have to accept the grant if you are awarded. But what Tracy mentioned that everything is going to be you're going to write for your mission, especially I think about programming where you may look at different programs that you can write for individual
Mhm.
dollars for, but you just have to be cautious that because there is a lot of networking going on in spaces that those three funders are not in the room and there's a conversation going on that well yeah there's an awesome program in Nash called X, Y, and Z, and then they say, oh, that came across our desk as well. So you just have to know that networking goes on with several grantors. So just be cautious and strategically write
Break up the
those
programming.
proposals, yeah,
Hmm.
for programming. Or now, when you're talking about you as food entrepreneurs, I'm sure that there are different pots of money that you can use for different pieces of your business. So that's a little different versus those that I heard earlier are looking at the more on the nonprofit side of things.
Hmm. Like materials, equipment, operations. Hmm.
Looks like we got our contact information there in the chat for our speakers today. Any other questions as we're coming to the end of our session?
Let me write down her information.
Well, I want to take a moment to again thank you so much, Kit and Tracy, for sharing all of your valuable insight, especially into such a complex topic as grant writing. For so many of us who have gone through it or are looking to submit your first proposal, please feel free to reach out to us. You know, maybe one of us can be one of those reviewers for you. As people who have put their eyes on grants in the past. And we always encourage, you know, take up these extension-based resources both in North Carolina or even outside of North Carolina. You know, starting small with a local grant, you might find yourself going after one of these larger, more nationally based grants. And extension services might have other programs that can help you with that process. So please use these resources that are available to you.
Katie, one last tidbit I wanted to share. The young lady that said she was looking for a kitchen, she may want to also search in her area to see if a church has a commercial kitchen that they may be willing to allow her to work her business out of.
Yeah, we actually had a person in our NC Home Aid that did not, her church's kitchen had already been passed inspection. So her church allowed her to use their kitchen instead of cooking in her home. So that is a great resource.
There's truly a lot of varieties of establishments that you can work from. Along with the church kitchens, I also suggest if there's a restaurant in your area that maybe doesn't have breakfast or lunch service, or maybe it holds those more traditional restaurant hours of maybe not being open to the public on Sunday and Monday, those are great opportunities to seek out as well.
It is.
And one more thing before we go, I just want to squeeze this in there. I put a reminder in the chat. Please fill out that evaluation form. It takes 2 or 3 minutes, but your feedback is so very important to us. Thank you.
And we hope everyone enjoys the rest of your afternoon. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I will be reaching out to our participants and our registrants with both the PowerPoint, these resources, and information about our Success Series. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.